Ju pa bolo bao, my version of pineapple buns with pork chops.
This dough, actually, he's done a pretty good job of. What you want is this really lovely sort of tacky sort of texture to it. And after a few minutes, sort of shape it into a rough ball. I've got some oil here just to cover the outside. Cover that with a wet cloth. I'm going to sit that aside for about an hour to an hour and a half, and it should double in size before I then knock it back. And this is the exciting part. A bolo bao, actually literally in Cantonese, translates to pineapple bun. But it's a bread that has no pineapple in it. It looks like the outside of a pineapple.
I roll the dough into a cylinder and divide them into smaller balls.
You sort of form a little circle with your index finger and your thumb. Push in with your thumb, kind of hole punching it into the dough, and you pinch and twist it back together again. And they just need one final rest for about 20 minutes to just grow once more. Whilst they're resting, I've got to do the topping. I'm going to start with my butter and sugar. We're going to mix that together until it forms a nice paste. Some vanilla extract, 1 egg. My flours, I've got both self-raising and plain flour, pretty much half and half. I've got a bit of greaseproof paper here, and that'll just help me roll this out nice and flat. You want this to be 3 to 4 mil thick. And so once it's been in the fridge, just holds its shape a bit better. I'm going to cut 6 nice rounds out of this. This first egg wash here is to help stick my pineapple crumble topping over the buns. Now, 1 more egg wash, 180 degrees in the oven, 15 to 20 minutes to the nice and golden brown. So the hard part of this feast is pretty much done. I'm going to marinate the pork chops and we're going to deep fry them. This is the true way to make a pork chop crusty roll, Hong Kong style.
Start by finely chopping some garlic.
And then I've got all these lovely ingredients here. It's actually really quite simple. I've got some Shaoxing rice wine. That's going to help to tenderize the meat, but also give it some nice aroma. Light soy sauce, sugar. Cornstarch or corn flour is used a lot in Cantonese cooking. I've got a fair bit here, and I'm not making a batter per se, but I do want a slight sort of crisp around the edge of the pork chops. 5 spice, white pepper, and some salt. I'm going to give that a little stir around, and you'll find that it creates this sort of slightly creamy marinade. Next, the pork chops. And what I'm going to do is just take diagonal slices into the pork chop on both sides. Next, I'm going to really bash this. Now, this really tenderizes the meat, but also it will take in and really soak up all the flavor of that marinade. Get a good amount of marinade over that pork chop. This oil is really hot. I start it on a high heat and then bring it down to a low heat. When you're cooking any sort of relatively thick piece of meat in oil like this, deep frying, you want an immediate seal. And that's why I start it on a high heat. Once you turn it down, that slightly lower heat will then cook the meat through. These pineapple buns are just beautiful. They've got that lovely crisscross on there still, but you can see the crumble. Yeah, a little bit of lettuce, some tomato, that pork chop, bone in for added extra special flavor. One last little bit for the buns. So I'm gonna cook some really crispy Chinese strict Malaysian style fried eggs with a chili sauce on the side. Once your oil's in, crack your egg in. You want it to bubble up and crisp up on the base. And then at that point, turn the heat right down. And with that instant sizzle at the beginning, you can see what I mean Why, a crispy fried egg.
And that's my crispy fried eggs, a perfect side dish for our pork buns.